All right, so good morning. You're on to Mathematics Experience, Mamu with Jarvis, and we'll be looking at our NECO BECE 2022. We'll try to go over the questions as a way of preparing us for our grade 10 experience. Now, the paper 2 is usually a combination of algebra and statistics. Algebra and what? Statistics. Those are the questions you see in the paper 2 of NECO BECE. So we're going to go straight away to solve the questions, and we'll see how far we can go. Remember that the objective is to see how well we can explain what has happened, figure out why you failed the questions, and try to look for ways to get yourself better at that. All right, so let's start. Number 1, we are told to simplify 3x plus 10y minus 5x minus 2y. All right, there are different ways to go about solving this. I know some students will say you collect like terms. Fine, so if we go by that method, which you're already used to, this is 3x. I can see another x, and it's 5x, negative 5x. The sign before the term is very important. And then I come back, 10y, and then minus what? 2y. So the answer becomes what? 3 minus 5 will give me a negative. So that will be what? Negative 2x. 10 minus 2 will give me a positive plus what? 8y. Now, we look at the option. If you look at the option you have here, you'll notice that there is one option in which x is carried. There are two options where x, they're carrying y. Option A and option E. Those are the options you need to focus on. So from here, I'll simply rewrite this. When I taught you algebra earlier, I usually say that always ensure that the first term you're writing is a positive, because usually examiners put the answers in that manner. So this will now be equal to what? I can factor 2 out of this, and that will be 2 into what? 4y minus x. And that answer becomes E. So the answer to that question is what? E. That's for question number 1 of paper 2. Now go to question 2. It says, solve the equation 1 over t equal to 7 over 8. Now, this is one of those questions where IQ is tested. This is drawn from the knowledge of algebraic fractions. Algebraic fractions is the topic being considered here. And in less than 5 seconds, you should have this answer. Why? Because I told us that if you have 1 over t equal to something, it means that t will simply be turning this. Usually when we talk about the use of balancing, we always see balancing in terms of, okay, I add, I subtract. Balancing can also be in terms of how you turn. If you turn left, you must turn right. So with that's a simple idea I'm going to use here. And that simply means that t will be equal to what? 8 over 7. Testing your knowledge of what? Reciprocal. So you see that in less than how many seconds you're done with that. I know some students will say, whatever, but it's a waste of time. Because in this exam, time is of the essence. All right, so that gives me 8 over 7. But notice that the examiner is testing your knowledge of converting proper fraction to mixed fraction. So this t will now be equal to what? 1 whole number 1 over 7. And that option simply will be what? B. That's for question number 2. Question number 3 says what? 5x plus 30 that we should simplify, or rather factorize. So maybe I should write that on the board so that you see it. Factorize 5x plus 30. Here, your concept of HCF is being tested. If you look at this very well, 5 is multiplying x, 30 here. There's a common factor. If you remember your multiples of 5, you discover that 5 times 6 will give me 30. So I would have what here? 5 into x plus 6. And that will be your final answer. And that option will simply be C. Question number 4. Find the coefficient of x in the expansion of. So what are we expanding? This is what we're expanding. Now, if you look at these brackets, to expand this, students have different methods they use, but I always like to use a very, very simple approach. What is this? Which is, I pick this to multiply this, and that will be 2x into x plus 4. 2x into x plus 4 minus 3 into what? X plus 4. Are we seeing that? You use this to multiply the content of the second bracket. Use this to multiply the content of the what? Second bracket. So you open up. This will give me what? 2x squared plus 8x minus 3x. Now the negative will affect every content in the second bracket. So if there were positives here, we expect them to turn to what? Negative. All right. Minus 12. Is that clear? Now, with that done, what now happens? This will be equal to what? 2x squared. These terms are like x and x are like. So 8 minus 3 gives me what? 5. That'll be plus 5x minus what? 12. Remember that you are told to find the coefficient of x. What is the coefficient of an unknown? It is the number that is multiplying the unknown. It is a number written in front of the unknown. But the technical definition is this. The coefficient gives us an idea of how many times a particular unknown is being added. Are different from an index. An index gives us the idea of how many times an unknown is being multiplied. So these are technical things you need to take note of when it comes to subjects like this. Now, with that said, the coefficient of x will be what? What's the number in front of x? That's 5. And that's all. That option will be what? That option will be C. So option C will be the correct answer. Then number 5. It says simplify 1 over 2x plus 1 over 3x. This is another very simple question to handle. Remember that here you need to look for what is called the LCD. Now, LCM and LCD are not different concepts. It's just in terms of usage. We use LCD when we talk about what? Fractions. We're talking about fractions. The denominators are related in a common multiple by talking about what? Common denominators. So lowest common denominators will suffice. Now, with that said, it would mean that I'm just doing this because I really don't do this anymore, because I discovered that when you look at some modern methods of solving math, some of these things are really archaic. Now, I'll do this method which you're conversant with, and then I'll use the method that I have discovered is better. Now, this is 2x, and this is what? 3x. This is the prime column. Can only take primes. So I start with 2. 2 is a prime, the first prime. I'll check if 2 can go. I'm going to have what? X and what? 3x. Remember that when you're considering LCM, the objective is to look for what can divide any. LCM, what can divide any. So I'll go with 3 and I'll have x, and I have what? X here. The order is to start with the numbers and then clear out with the letters. So x here will give me 1, 1. 2 times 3 is 6. 6 times x is what? 6x. But in this kind of exam setting where I shouldn't spend more than 20 to 30 seconds handling this, what then should I do? Very simple again. I look at 2x, I look at 3x. I pick the factors. I pick the factors at their raw state. I can see 2, I can see 3 occurring ones. So 2 times 3 is 6. X, pick one of the x. And this is also already a teaser for you when you come to handle sets, because this idea is important in set. In set, an item is only accounted for once. But coming to SS1 work, so you get to see this idea play out again. So this will now be what? 6x divided by what? 2x, and that will be 3, plus 6x divided by 3, and that will be what? 2. So invariably, your answer becomes 5 over what? 6x. And that clears that problem out. So the answer is 5 over 6x. And if you look at the option, that option is what? D. That option will be what? D. So let's go to question 6. In question 6, it says, find the sum of the coefficients of x in 3x plus 1 minus 2x plus 6. 2x, 3x plus 1 minus 2x plus 6, right? So, to look for the coefficient of this, the first thing you must do is to rearrange this. This will be 3x minus 2x plus 1 plus 6. Are we together? Then the next one becomes what? X plus 7. So what is the coefficient of x in this setup? You discover that nothing is written in front of x. So we say that the coefficient of a number tells us, gives us an idea of how many times a particular number is being added. So 1x will mean what? 1 times x. That's the only way you can get x. So the coefficient here becomes what? 1. So coefficient of x is 1. And that option will simply be C. All right, so we'll go to question 7. It says, find the value of x in the equation. What equation is given to you? 3x over 4 equal to 12. Now, there's a trend I noticed with students when they solve math. The first thing they're thinking of is to we cross multiply or whatever, although that does not exist. This is testing your knowledge of what? I told us that the concept of balancing does not only apply to adding and subtracting, it also applies to what you do. In fact, the concept of balancing is this: what you do to left-hand side, you must do to right-hand side. That's the concept of balancing. So if you look at this carefully, from your knowledge of factors, you will discover that 3 can divide 12. Do that first. Because these are things that help you to walk faster. And this will be 4. So that will mean that what? X will now be equal to what? 4 times 4. And then x will simply be equal to what? 16. So that answer is 16, and that option will be C. So let's look at the next one. The next one is question 8. In fact, question 8 should be a bonus. Expand A plus B all squared. A plus B all squared. If you remember when I taught you quadratic expressions, I told you that there's an easy way to do this. Now look at this. This will simply be what? A squared plus 2AB plus B squared. You remember the crossbow concept, Wakanda crossbow concept. You can look up my other videos for this concept. I have A here, same thing as I have B here, and it's plus. What do? I take, they're only going to, the answer is going to be an answer that has 3 slots. First slot for the first one squared, second slot for the last, the third slot for the last item squared, and then you cross bow. A times B is AB. How many times will they occur? 2 times. So let's confirm if what I've said is true, because you need to understand that certain questions do not require you to overly solve. What happens here? This multiply this A squared, this multiply this AB. This multiply this AB, because we write in the order of the letters of the English alphabet. So that will be what? AB. And this B multiplies B, and you get what? B squared. Collect like terms, add up terms that can be added. What you're going to have will be A squared plus 2AB plus B squared. In the context of terms, AB is a unique term. A squared is a term. AB is a unique term. B squared is a unique term. So I can add AB to AB and write this word 2AB. That will give me 2AB. All right. So that settles that question, and that answer will simply be what? If you watch the way it is written, the answer that suffices for that will be what? C. All right. Okay, so that's for question 8, and we move to question 9. Question 9 is testing your knowledge of inequalities in a matter of your number line. And this is what is given to you in that question. They're giving something like this. Zero, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. And the marker is between, it's a colored marker between 4 and 5. So it's safe to assume that it is half, 4.5. Safe to assume that it is what? 4.5. So remember, from your inequality, the bubble is colored. It means it is either equal to, greater than equal to, or less than equal to. That's when the bubble is colored. Then you look at the direction of the arrow. The direction of the arrow shows towards my right-hand direction. It means that this is the one being talked about, greater than or equal to. So the answer will simply be what? X is greater than or equal to what? Where was this bubble found? 4.5. So that answer will simply be what? That answer will simply be C. That's for question 9. Let's look at question number 10. In question number 10, we are told that if y is equal to 4x minus 30, if y is equal to 4x minus 30, find the value of y. Find the value of y. So if x is equal to what? 5. It means that y will be equal to 4 times 5 minus 30. That will be 20 minus what? 30. See, your knowledge of addition, multiplication and division would need to play out here. So 20 minus 30 is what? We know that 30 minus 20 will give me 10. But because what I have is less than what I want to do, it means that my answer will be what? Negative. So the answer becomes what? Negative 10. And that's for question number 10. The option obviously will be B. So we'll pause here. Okay, so for question 11, we are told to find the HCF of these algebraic terms, 6xy and 12x squared. I'm told to look for the HCF. Now, the HCF, concept of HCF here is quite simple. What do you need to do? Look at the terms. What are the things you see that are common? I start with the numbers. I know 6 can divide this, and I know 6 can divide this. So your knowledge of numbers is very important here. So this will give me what? HCF will be what? 6. What else can I see? I can see xy here. I can see x squared here. So the x, I can see x here, and I can also see x. So the HCF becomes what? X. There is another method we use also. Let's go to that method. My challenge with this method is that it's too mechanical. Every time you have to, no, sometimes you're able to look at, and that's what the IGCX experience for Cambridge is about. You're able to look at questions and be able to tell what the answers are by just looking at them. So this will be 2. Remember, this can only take prime. That'll give me 3xy, and this will give me 6x squared. 3xy and what? 2x squared. What can go again? X, and this will give me y, and this will give me 2x. So by way of finishing this one out, you discover that the HCF will be what? 2 times 3 times x. Somebody may ask a question, but this is not the LCM we are doing. No. The difference in the technique here is this. For HCF, we look at what can go through. For LCM, we look for what can divide any. So that's the difference. Go through any. All right, so let's take care of question 11. And that option will be C. In question 12, we are told 1/9 plus x equal to 1 over 27. I was told to look for what? We should solve for x. Now, there are different ways you can solve this problem. I taught students, the last group of students I taught this concept, I tried to teach them from the knowledge of what? Algebraic fractions. But I'm going to use a different technique here. What I will simply do is to look for the LCM. The LCM of 9 and 27. Obviously, it will be what? 27. So what do? I multiply each item by what? 27. If I multiply this by 27, I'm going to get 3. If I multiply this by 27, I'm going to get 27x. And if I multiply this by 27, I'm going to get what? 1. So what does that mean? It means 27x will be equal to 1 minus 3. And x will be equal to what? 27 will be equal to what? Negative 2. And x will now be equal to what? Negative 2 over what? 27. If 27 is multiplying this, then 27 will obviously divide this. Right? So that settles question 12. So let's look at question 13. In question 13, you are told to factorize 3xy minus 5x plus 3y minus 5. 3xy minus 5x plus 3y minus 5. Here, if you've used Cambridge books, particularly for what is some people call junior Cambridge or whatever, you discover something striking. There's a pattern here. If you look at it, where there's a pattern. 3 is positive, 3 is positive. 5 is negative, 5 is negative. So what I need to do is look at what is common to the first two. I discovered that what's common to the first two is what? X. Into what? What would I be left with? If I factor x out, I'll be left with 3y. Minus, if I factor out here, I'll be left with what? 5. Plus 1. Where a factor does not seem to exist, we assume that that factor is what? 1. So that will be into what? 3y minus 5. So this will give me what? 3y minus 5 into x plus 1. 3y minus 5 into what? X plus 1. That takes care of question 13. And if you look at that very well, the option to that question will be B. And the option to question 12, I didn't note that, will be B. So let's look at question 14. Question 14, it says, solve the equation or the algebraic fraction 2 over x minus 3 equal to 4 over 3x plus 5. How do we solve this problem? Sometimes, what the number of us who want to do is to say we're going to cross multiply or whatever, but look at it carefully. You have been taught, you need to learn when you see questions to check what concepts have I studied before now that can help me. If you look at this part and this part, look at the numerator. 2 can divide this. 2 can divide this. When you do that, you reduce the time you're going to spend solving the problem. So from this, I know that 2 will multiply this. And I know that this will be 3x plus 5 because it's just 1. 1 multiply that, keep that thing as it is. So I'm going to have 2x minus 6 equal to what? 3x plus 5. The next thing I look at is, where do I have the bigger value of x? It is this, because I want to ensure that my final answer is what? The coefficient of x always was positive. So I will rewrite this. Remembering that technically we always keep the unknown on the left-hand side. All right, so that will be 3x minus 2x equal to negative 6 minus 5. And this will give me x equal to negative 11. All right, and that answer will be A. Right, All right, so for question 15, we are told to factorize completely. Factorize completely. What are we giving? We are giving a minus 3b. Let me take it. I think that space may not be enough. A minus 3b into 2x minus y plus a minus 3b into x plus 7y. All right. So if you look at this very well, you discover that this and this are common terms we can see. So we can easily factor them out. So that will be a minus 3b into what is left? 2x minus y plus x plus 7y. All right, so that will be a minus 3b into, I'll have to deal with this part. So I can write it out. This will be 2x minus y plus x plus 7y. And this will give me a minus 3b into, now look at this, 2x plus x will give me what? Negative y plus 7 will give me what? Plus 7. That's plus 6 rather. That's like say 7 minus 1. I've told us that it's not every time you have to begin to write. Sometimes it's not the writing that brings the result. You need to look for methods that push your brain to get to work. Now this will be what? A minus 3b. You discover that there's a common factor here. 3 can divide this. 3 can divide this. So I factor it out. And when 3 divides this, I'm left with what? X. And when 3 divides this, I'll be left with what? 2y. So that settles that question. So let's see. According to the exam for that year, B will be the correct answer. B will be the correct answer. So we'll call it a day with this aspect of our maths, and trust that in our next episode, we'll be able to go further in this.